personal level. So, Lauren, before we went to break, we were talking about some of the challenges, you face, what you've been through this process, the last 3 years training as a professional MMA fighter. How are you overcoming adversity? And I want to get into, the actual process, as far as, when you train, like how often are you training and what are your trainings like that you go through with Charlie each day? Are you training every day or every other day?
Yeah, I am training every day. From the moment I walked in the gym, I decided, actually, if I go to back up, before I started training, I was doing nursing in home health, full-time job. I was going to continue my nursing education. Then I decided, hey, I want to take this shot at doing MMA.
Yeah.
So when I walked in there, I'm like, all right, I'm at the right age, the right timing, and I have one shot to just go for this. So basically, when I walked in there, I decided I'm going to train 2 days, 6 days a week, and make this a full-time job.
That's amazing. So you made a full commitment.
Right, I made a full commitment. There's some sacrifice to go along with that, but so far everything has been worth it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, and that's why I asked that question so our listeners and our viewers who are actually tuning in can really get understanding, because oftentimes, people think that maybe you guys just roll out of bed and go to the ring. You might put a little time in here and there, but, you made a conscious decision that you want to be the best at this.
Right.
And I get that sense from you when I watch you go out and fight. This isn't just something you're trying. Let me see how it goes, or, or maybe I'm just in it for the attention, etc. I really see your approach to this is like no different than a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan. It's like, I'm going to put this work in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put the time in to be one of the best. And I get that sense from you. So for our listeners, hey, if you want to commit, if you want to accomplish big goals and dreams, you have to make that decision. Something will have to be sacrificed. Family time, time away from friends, time away from going out. You're 24, 25, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of great things 24, 25-year-olds want to do on the weekend, whether that's the clubs or going out, and you're bypassing that to stay focused on one thing. And let's get to that. What's the goal? What are you? Is it UFC? Who's on your target radar? Who you want to knock the hell out eventually?
Absolutely. UFC is my goal.
Okay.
That is where I want to be. And just through this journey, I want to be a very successful woman in this sport.
Correct. And speaking of a successful woman, what's that process been like? Because, we're in a sport with MMA fighters that's been heavily dominated over the last several years with male fighters, a lot of great ones. And now we're starting to see the Misha Tates, I can go on and on, Ronda Rousey's, these women that are now being the forefront for women in MMA fighting. What's it like for you since you've been involved? What kind of attention, feedback are you getting?
It's an empowering feeling, to be honest. And just to prove to myself that I have that mental strength to go into such an intense sport that not everyone can do.
Correct.
It takes a lot of physical strength, a lot of mental strength, and for me to overcome that every day and just to keep pushing harder as an athlete, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, you talk about the feeling. What is that feeling like coming off of a big win? Like recently. Now, I would say that was a big win. I watched the fight, and the young lady you fought, let me go back. What's her name? Her name was Hannah Fitzpatrick, right?
Yeah.
And, really Hannah showed some very elite skills, in my opinion. She threw a couple of kicks that most people, if they landed, they'd be done. It'd be night time. And, I saw you make 2 bobs, and I'm like, whoa, I wasn't anticipating that. And your skill level is very impressive, to be honest with you. But what is it like coming off a big fight, like a huge fight like that with a win? How do you stay focused and motivated when you're going into this potentially fight coming up in October?
Wins are nice. Yeah, I'm going in there to ultimately get that win. But it's not all about the win.
Correct.
For me, it's about being an athlete. It's about every time I go into that cage, how can I better myself as an athlete?
Correct.
And that's what really motivates me, just trying to better myself every time and challenge my body.
Yes. Do you ever have a lot of do you ever feel pressure, just as a female fighter and all that comes with being a hometown kid and, your family and friends that are out there? Do you feel a different type of pressure on you? How does it make you feel?
I wouldn't wouldn't really say pressure, but I definitely feel the love and support from everyone, which makes this process a lot easier for me.
Yeah,
makes it worth it.
Let's talk about that. I saw an interesting post that you posted maybe about 2 weeks ago on your Facebook page, and you shared your personal experience from all of the people that were there that evening that watched you fight, and I was very that was my first time going to an MMA fight, so I was like whoa, they was people were really into it, yelling, screaming, standing up. I mean, it was a little bit of everything. Mom was getting into it. I was like, hey, Mom's in the house, by the way. Shout out. So, I'm watching it and seeing the energy levels that's there. I never anticipated that's how a fight would be. You kind of come in, thought everybody's going to be sitting around and being quiet, but
it's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and so. What is that like, when I hear you writing this, kind of like telling that story about, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, getting all the love and support from my family and friends, and hearing what people are having to say about you. How does that make you feel?
Well, I just, I wanted to put that out there first so people understand how thankful I am.
Yeah.
All these people that have crossed paths with me or just stand beside me as I enter into this fight journey, and how far I've come already, and then all these people I'm meeting and their support, I just feel truly blessed, and I want them to realize, you guys are what makes this so fun for me.
Correct.
Not only do I enjoy it, but then when I'm walking out to the cage and I just can feel all that love and support and cheering, that makes it worth it.
The energy.
Yeah, the energy.
So you thrive off that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's a huge factor for you.
It's a huge factor.
Great. Well, you guys here, keep supporting Lauren Mueller. Keep coming out to the fights. Keep reaching out to her on social media. And speaking of social media, I mean, it's obviously, we're in an age now where that's how people communicate and connect. I've done a lot of my networking and business development through social media. How do people reach you? How can they be connected to you and follow you and be a part of this process of rooting you on and, helping you as you grow in this new new endeavor for yourself?
Yeah, if people want to follow, my fight journey, they definitely can add me on social media.
Okay.
Facebook, it's my name, Lauren Mueller.
Okay.
Instagram, Princess Tiger 51.
Okay, I want to get into that. I don't know where that came from, so go ahead and finish up.
I would love the ad. I definitely, if people comment to me, I'll respond to you. And yeah, you can just follow my journey, upcoming fights, all that information I'll be posting.
And fellas, don't be harassing her, okay? She got to stay focused on her fight. So let's get back to the Princess 51, right?
Right.
Where did that come from? How did you come up with that name?
Okay, there's a couple things.
Okay.
Princess has kind of followed me for a while. I've always been an athlete playing different sports, and I've gotten the princess card quite a bit because I am feminine. I'm a girly girl.
Correct.
I dress up. I like to look pretty for myself.
Correct.
Just feel good. But I also can get down and play sports. I did motocross, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then also before it was actually my first pro fight. I was getting ready to weigh in, and I'm in my bikini, getting ready to get on the scales, and I had to cut a little more weight. And the opponent goes, "Where's this princess at? Is she ready yet?"
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that stemmed from, too. Okay, now I'm not just Tiger, but I'm Princess Tiger.
So, Charlie, how do you deal with the Princess Tiger or the Princess 51? I mean,
she's, like I said, she's a little bit of both. I mean, but just good. I mean, she is a girly girl. I mean, she's not there's a lot of different women in this sport, and some of them you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And then she's feminine, and she fights the way she's supposed to fight. I mean, she fights tough. I mean, you ask any guys in the gym, she fights like a dude.
Yes.
But she looks like a woman.
Yes. And that's not common. You don't normally see that.
Not a lot. I mean, there's both. I mean, the sport, and sometimes if there's too much one way or the other, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of off balance, and she's got both, which is super important. I mean, for the marketing part of it, also just the fighting part of it, and like I said, she's a girl, but she fights like a dude.
Yes.
Which is, she punches like a dude. I mean, look at my hands. You beat me up all night last night. So, yeah, she's got both.
So, in watching her development from the time she's come in and started training with you, what have you witnessed and what have you seen with her skill and how she's grown?
Well, she came in raw. She didn't know anything. Like a lot of people come in with me with a little bit of different martial arts and anything else, and there's some sports background, and she didn't come out too much, and I knew she was a clean slate, so it's going to be easy for me to mold her as long as she listened good. So I was looking for commitment and also work ethic and And, okay, well, your support system, you know, like if you say you want to be a fighter, you have to be lucky to fight. You got to be lucky to be a pro athlete. I mean, you have to have everything in your life pretty much line up.
Yep.
I mean, your support system, your injuries. I say, where are your injuries at? No major injuries, you know, not in a relationship, which is pretty much an injury. Like, you know, you got a great support system with your family.
Yeah.
You know, you got people here that are going to work with you. You got good training partners here. You get the gyms open all the time. So it's like, okay, you got all these things. And the more important thing is like, okay, you got commitment, you got work ethic, and then what I look for is character and integrity. You know, like, you're going to represent us.
Yes.
We're going to be in your corner. How are you going to deal with these things, and how are you going to train? You know, we're just not going to train anybody walking off the street for this.
Correct.
And spend a lot of time with you.
Yes.
And if I commit to you, you're going to get more than what you need. But I need to see what you're going to do. People tell me all the time, hey, I want to fight. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's cool. But willing to is the different. She made a commitment. I couldn't get rid of it for 9 months. I think she took like 3 days off in 9 months. She was there twice a day. I'm like, whoa.
3 days off in 9 months.
You know?
3 days off.
Yeah, I took it serious from the beginning.
And this is no compensate. Like, this is just putting the time in, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're talking hours in the day, in the morning, and they come back hours at night. And, I mean, it's not like our gym is nice, but it's like, okay, you're going to go around with stinky dudes and gloves, and you're going to sweat and get nasty. It's just like, this is a really tough sport. It's not going to be like a little fitness area where, you know, see some chants and girls jump around and, you know, punch things and they don't get hit back. You're going to get hit at our place too if you know, when you get to that level. Yeah. If you want to fight. Not everybody wants to fight or to say they want to fight, we punch. It's just, it's not what you want, you know. You're going to get what you know, where you're at. But at the same time, her skill level, she listens very good. She's very coachable. That's why I was asked, what other sports have you played? What have you done? What have you been coached in? So otherwise, like, I don't know how you're going to respond to some of these things and the ups and downs, the criticism, the hard times, the good times, because you're going to need that. I'm not an easy coach to train under. So I don't even know that before we get there. So you break down and run out the door.
So how's she handling with that?
She's still here. She's still here.
Yeah.
She's still here. Still winning. I mean, you know, not a lot of people would take that, you know. But it's all for the benefit of her, which is great for the greater benefit for which is us as a team. You know, so we're going to put her first when she's getting ready, and she knows that we're going to be behind her, you know?
Okay, well, I love it. I mean, this is some great, I hope you guys that are listening are enjoying this. And before we go to break, we'll talk about when we come back, getting